Yes, I know I could do that if I tried hard enough, if I practiced hard enough, but Allah put in me a desire to be what He wanted me to be. Imam Mohammed spoke on this many times as the Rabb in you. The Rabb in you. That he said he planned on being Imam Muhammad, or Wallace D. Muhammad, the welder, and Allah said, you're going to be Imam Wallace D. Muhammad, Wallace D. Muhammad. And it was the Rabb that took him from what he thought he was supposed to be into what Allah wanted him to be. That would benefit more than just him and his immediate family. Would benefit the world. Isn't that a wonderful thing? Alhamdulillah. So when the body experiences disease, it's not a bad thing. Disease is really the body's way of saying, hey, there's a problem here.
Right.
So if we are experiencing disease in terms of our communication with each other, it is because the community body is saying, there's a problem here.
Right.
And we have to learn the fitrah of how disease is eradicated from the body. The body has a way of centralizing disease. Sometimes it will manifest even in what do you call that? Boil. Or anything that takes disease and grabs the problem and brings it from different places to centralize it so that it will manifest, right? It'll manifest sometimes through the skin, topically, and the doctor says, okay, I see where the issue is. But if we keep pretending like we don't know what the issue is, and we're looking at a man who's full of boils, because when you ignore the first one, then it says, well, maybe I'm not catching their attention over here. Let me throw one over there. You heard of Job, right? Man, he's just full of sores. Until he met the one that said, curse God and die. And he wouldn't do it. No, that's not our position. Our position is to be healers. Our position is to do that, which will bring healing, mercy, comfort to all parties involved. And do you know what the first aspect of that is? And I learned this from my wife, Karima Medina Bilal. Many of you have heard her. She said, the first thing that I needed to do when I found out I was gaining a little bit too much weight, eating the wrong things, she said, I first had to apologize to myself. She said, I had to apologize to my own body. Because Allah gave me this body as my servant, so to speak. Yeah, Allah gave you this body. I say, hand, go up. The hand doesn't have a mind of its own. I say, stand on one leg. You know, whatever I command this body to do, if within reason, the body's going to do it. So if I allow this body to become diseased, to become ill-formed, then the mind then has to respond. And she said her first response is that she apologized. She said, buddy, I'm sorry for putting you through this. I'm sorry for having to return you to Allah in this condition. Because you're like a rental car, this body. You know, you're like one of those cars that you leased. And when you turn it back in, if it's got a bunch of dings and windshield is crashed, tires are deflated, that's not how you got it. Allah gave us this body from the womb, even with natural immunity to certain diseases. And we live the kind of life that opens us up to multiple diseases. So we have to be forgiving. I've heard that word used. We used it in our private meeting. And I heard someone use it today. Dr. Omar. We have to be forgiving. Because we want Allah to forgive us.
That's right.
And one of the other connections with that term, astaghfirullah, that we ask Allah, oh Allah, forgive me. You know, there's tawbah. And then there is what we say, astaghfirullah. Astaghfirullah means, oh Allah, forgive me, but on what level? Do you know that 95% of your daily activity is subconsciously related or subconsciously activated? 95% of our daily actions are driven by the subconscious, not the conscious. Only 5% of what we do every day is conscious. When you say, oh, I got to go, and you're thinking about it. Other than that, scratching your head and walking out the door, all of that is subconscious. So Allah knows that in the course of our actions, the course of our daily actions, we're going to be doing many things that were subconsciously prompted. Sometimes when we mistreat each other, it's not conscious, it's subconsciously related. So we ask Allah at the end of every prayer to forgive us, not for those conscious acts. That's tawbah. I know what I did, Allah. I did it in knowing that I was doing it, and now I repent for doing it, and I won't do it no more. See, that's conscious. That's tawbah. But asking astaghfirullah is saying, Allah, I ask that you forgive me even for those things that I don't even know I did. That's right. Because they were subconsciously related. So we have to be able to move our situation from being a subconsciously regulated one, a subconsciously regulated life, where we are then subjected to all of the whims and circumstances related to subconscious life and activity. We have to bring that life into the conscious realm. And our religion is the only religion that advocates that kind of progression. Everything we do from the time we wake up to the time we go to bed, we got Bismillah, right? Allah wants you to be conscious even when you eat your food. Bismillah. When you go into the masjid, you saying certain things. You go into the restroom, you saying certain things. Why? Because Allah designed our Deen through our Prophet to be the most conscious related Deen on planet Earth. So that automatically puts us a step above the rest of the world that is subconsciously motivated. Doing things and don't even know why. Asking for things and not even knowing what the results will be, what the negative results might be. This is our Deen. And our Deen is alternately called Fitrah. Deen al-Fitrah, right? Not just Deen al-Islam. If somebody said, what is your religion? I could say Deen al-Fitrah. I could say al-Fitrah. And be just as correct if I said al-Islam. If I don't want you to know it's al-Islam, I say al-Fitrah. They say, what is that? I said, it's the religion of the pattern, the original pattern. They said, well, what is that? He said, I said, you ever watch the sunrise? He said, yeah, well, tell me what you get out of that. What happens when the sun rises? He says, well, you know, activity, more activity. Creatures come out that will sleep. I can see better. I say, yeah, well, if you apply that to your abstract life, that's my religion. Now, what in your abstract life does that? My intellect? Yeah. When my intellect rises, I can see better. When my intellect progresses, I can make more progress myself. This is where the English-speaking world got the word sun. They got it from sunnah. 16th century astrologer, Johann Bayer. Look him up. He said that he got the English word sun, S-U-N, from the word sunnah. He began to label, he was an astrologer, he began to label all of the planetary bodies after Greek names. Alpha, Beta, Gamma. When he came to the biggest one, sound familiar? That they call Sol, S-O-L, in Latin. He said, I can't even give this a Greek name. It's way beyond what the Greeks are thinking. He said, so I'll leave it in its Latin name, Sol. That should tell you something also. But he said, I'll also give it the name sun. So, here's a man who did not profess to be a Muslim per se. And that's what I meant by Europeans studying our religion. Here's a man who said, I'm going to name this after the sunnah. He must have seen something in the sunnah to indicate a connection between the sunnah and the form and function of the sun. The sun brings light, right? Well, Muslims should be bringing knowledge. The sun brings warmth. Muslims should be warm. If you walk into a masjid and start, something's wrong. There ain't no sunnah in there. The sun brings growth and productivity. If you walk into a place and there's no growth, there's no education, there's no productivity, there's nobody working, that ain't no sunnah. Walk in some of these masjids like an ice house.